Hi friends, I'm here with another chapter of Every Living Thing, book by Cynthia Rylant. They are short stories, so we're on chapter 3. We're going to start with that today. The next chapter is called Boar Out There. Oh, okay. Boar Out There. Everyone in Glen Morgan knew there was a wild boar in the woods over by the Miller farm. The boar was out beyond the splintery rail fence and past the old black Dodge that somehow had ended up in the woods and was missing most of its parts. Jenny would hook her chin over the top rail of the fence, twirl a long green blade of grass in her teeth, and whisper, "Boar out there." And there were times when she was sure she heard him. She imagined him running heavily through the trees, ignoring the sharp thorns and briars that raked his back and sprang away trembling. She thought he might have a golden horn on his terrible head. The boar would run deep into the woods, then rise up on his rear hooves, throw his head toward the stars, and cry a long, clear, sure note into the air. The note would glide through the night and spear the heart of the moon. The boar had no fear of the moon, Jenny knew, and as she lay in bed, listening. One hot summer day, she went to find the boar. No one in Glen Morgan had ever gone past the old black Dodge and beyond, as far as she knew. But the boar was there somewhere, between those awful trees, and his dark green eyes waited for someone. Jenny felt it was she. Moving slowly over damp brown leaves, Jenny could sense her ears tingle and fan out as she listened for the thick breathing from the trees. She stopped to pick a teaberry leaf to chew, stood a minute, and then went on. Deep in the woods, she kept her eyes to the sky. She needed to be reminded that there was a world above and apart from the trees, a world of space and air that didn't linger all about her, didn't press deep into her skin, as forest air did. Finally, leaning against a tree to rest, she heard him for the first time. She forgot to breathe, standing there listening to the stamping of hooves, and she choked and coughed. And now the pounding was horrible, too loud and confusing for Jenny. Horrible! She stood stiff with wet eyes and knew she could always pray, but for some reason she didn't. He came through the trees so fast that there was no time to scream or run, and he was there before her. His large gray back body shivered as he waited just beyond the shadow of the tree she held for support. His nostrils glistened, and his eyes. But astonishingly, he was silent. He shivered and glistened and was absolutely silent. Jenny matched his silence, and her body was rigid, but not her eyes. They traveled along his scarred, bristling back to his thick hind legs. Tears spilling and flooding her face, Jenny stared at the boar's ragged ears caked with blood. Her tears dropped to the leaves, and the only sound between them was his slow breathing. Then the boar snorted and jerked, but Jenny did not move. High in the trees, a blue jay yelled, and suddenly it was over. Jenny stood like a rock as the boar wildly flung his head and in terror bolted past her. Past her. And now, since that summer, Jenny still hooks her chin over the old rail fence, and she still whispers, "Boar out there." But when she leans on the fence, looking into the trees, her eyes are full, and she leaves wet patches on the splintery wood. She is sorry for the torn ears of the boar, and sorry that he has no golden horn. But mostly she is sorry that he lives in fear of blue jays and little girls, when everyone in Glen Morgan lives in fear of him. And that's the end of the story. That was a shorter one. Story from Every Living Thing. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time. Hasta luego.